So we spoke in the Maimer until now about the idea of das, that Eila Mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem kisikne eved ivri. Moshe causes the ivri, the Jew, the Jewish soul that comes from a different place, that comes really from a higher place, to acquire, to be koine, to acquire das, so that it should be able to connect to Elokus. And that's the job, that's the mission of Moshe. Moshe causes the neshamas of Yidden to have das. Das is what makes things real. Now the question the Rebbe asks in the Maimer is, how can it be if the neshama of Zera Behema is lacking das? How could Moshe cause it to have das? Let's try and understand a little bit better this question. You can't give someone something that he doesn't have. The whole idea of us being down here is that we're in a world where godliness is not real. That's our reality. This is who we are. So Mela, when you want to explain it, you want to take Chachma and Bina, you want to intellectually explain to us the reality of godliness, fine. But here it's das. Das means to make it real. And the idea of das, to understand it a little bit further, like the Rebbe also quotes the idea in the Maimer, is that a katan, a child who's not yet 13 years old, he's lacking das. What does it mean that he's lacking das? He could be very smart. He could be smarter than many 13-year-olds. He could be smarter than many older people. But it's not real. And it won't be real. No matter how smart he is, it won't be real to him. And therefore, despite his knowledge and despite him knowing everything about Torah and mitzvahs more than others, we can't hold him responsible for keeping the positive mitzvahs and for transgressing over the prohibitive mitzvahs, the mitzvahs leisa say, because he doesn't have das. He doesn't know how to make it real. So no matter how much he knows, he's not responsible for the fact that he's not keeping it. Now you can't take that child and give him das. When he grows up, his mind develops, he then receives das. But until then, he's lacking das. Now let's go on to explain. So the Rebbe explains that the reason that the way that Moshe does this also comes from the Pasuk. Pasuk says, Kisikne eved ivri. What does the word ivri mean? From the other side. The other side is the source, the root of the neshamas. The sheresh of the neshamas from Eiver Hanor. Be'Eiver Hanor Yashua v'seichem me'elam. The place of the neshama is higher than the river. What's the river? The river is what we say in Parshas Bereshis. V'nor, nor, Yetzei me'eden, lahashkei sesadan, hagan, umisham yiparit. The river that comes out from Eden. Eden is a place where a person connects to godliness. From this connection, there comes out a nahar, a river, lahashkei sesagan. That means there comes godly light, which waters the garden. It brings godliness into the garden. What's this river? This river is the godly light. Where is the Eden itself? What's the Eden? Eden is above the light. Eden is the essence of connection to godliness. The Me'ever Hanor means, where is the place that the neshamas come from? They come from higher than this nar. They come from above the nar. Above the revelation of godliness, which means in the place where there is the essence of connection to godliness. The reality is godliness. That's the place and that's the root of the neshamas. Which means that the neshamas come from a place where there's a very great das, a very powerful das. Even though now, the way they came down into this world, they're zera behema, they're animal feed, animal plant, lacking das. Nevertheless, their source is from a place where there's a very great idea where there's a very great power of das. Let's first continue what it says in the Maimer before we try to understand this. The Rebbe continues that that's the meaning of kisikne. What's a kinyan? A kinyan is when I give something to someone else. That's not the kinyan. I gave it to them. That's not yet the kinyan. The person gave me money. That's not the kinyan. I decided I'm going to give this person this object. That's also not the kinyan. The kinyan is the act that shows the fact that I decided to give it, and the fact that I decided that the object should transfer from my possession to the other person's possession. So the actual transfer is because of the decision. The money that was paid caused the decision. The decision is what I decided in my mind. The action of kinyan, for example, the Hagbah or the Meshicha, is what signifies, what reveals, what shows that this transfer happened. Not what causes the transfer, but what shows that the transfer happened. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu's job is, kisikne. Moshe causes the Jewish people to be koine. What does that mean that he caused us to be koine das? That means that we're not lacking das. We only don't have it in a revealed way. Moshe Rabbeinu reveals it. How does Moshe Rabbeinu reveal it? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu the one that can reveal it? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is the one that comes, his neshama comes from a place of Shemitah Rishayna, which we'll learn later a little more about that. Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama is from a place which is higher than both Zera Adam and Zera Behema. Moshe Rabbeinu comes from a place where in him the das is essential, even more than Zera Adam, where there's a chiddush that you have das, or Zera Behema, where the fact is you don't have das. In Moshe Rabbeinu, it's something that's there, and that's why he's able to reveal in the neshamas of Zera Behema as well the idea of das. Let's try to understand this a little bit better. There's a story that's brought down in Chassidus from the Arizal. The Arizal would take a nap on Shabbos afternoon. The Arizal's nap on Shabbos afternoon was for a few minutes. And during those few minutes, there was a time that the Arizal saw in the parsha of Balak and Bilam, things that it would take 70 years to reveal it and to explain it and teach it to the students. Chassidus explains how's that possible. How can it be that in a course of a few minutes he saw things that can take 70 years to explain? Chassidus explains is that the Arizal saw it, the difference between seeing something and hearing. When I see a picture, as the famous saying is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. The truth is it's worth a lot more than 1,000 words. If I see a table, the table is there. I can see every single part of it in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I see it. I see everything that's in it. I see everything about that table. I have a complete picture of it. If I were to try to explain to someone how that table looks, I'd have to begin to explain the color of the table, the texture, the size, exactly what's on top of what, how. It could take me ages and ages to explain that, because now I'm explaining it. Not only that, even once the person heard it, they may picture it in their mind. Their picture is not as strong as the one who saw it. In a person's mind, there's chachma and there's bina. Chachma is the essence, the re'iyah, seeing. Chachma is the idea of seeing. Bina is shmiya, hearing, understanding it. The chachma that we have in our souls is above our mind. which means we don't relate to it. The only thing we relate to is Bina. The Chachma sends us the message, it sends us the idea, and then we begin to bring it and grasp it through Bina. So the only thing we can relate to is Bina, which is Shmiya, hearing, and that's why it takes us time and discussion to be able to get to realize and recognize the ideas of godliness which we get through Chachma. The Arizal was in touch with the essence of his neshama. The essence of the neshama of every single one of us sees godliness. But we see it and we don't grasp because we're not connected to the Chachma. And therefore, even when we see it, it doesn't become part of us. The Arizal, what he saw, became part of him. So if he had to explain it to someone else, it would take 70 years to explain it even to his students. Now let's get back to the idea of das. We are ivri. The essence of our neshama is godly. The place that it comes from is from Eiver Anar, not from a place of godly revelation, not from a place of light, from a place of essence. That's where the neshama comes. We are one with Hashem. Hashem put it into the world. Hashem sent our neshamas into the world, and in those neshamas, Hashem made different types. There's Zera Adam, those who have das, connect to that which they come from. There's Zera Behema, those who don't have das, can understand it, but it's not real to them. Moshe Rabbeinu is above both of those. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one connected to the essence of what it really is. But Moshe Rabbeinu is the essence of all of our neshamas. Because all of our neshamas really, in the reality of what we are, is connected to that reality of Elokus, which is even higher than both Zera Adam and Zera Behema. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who can reveal it in us, not bring it in us. He's the Roye Neman. That's why we say that Moshe Rabbeinu is one of the Shiva Royim, not just one of the Shiva Royim, but he's the one who encompasses all seven. The Shiva Royim, there's 7 shepherds. Why 7? Remember, we learned the difference between 7 and 8. 7 is internalized. 7 is what becomes part of us. The Royim, the shepherds, what's a shepherd? A shepherd feeds the sheep. A shepherd doesn't create the grass. A shepherd doesn't create the food for the sheep to eat. A shepherd enables the sheep to take that food and bring it inside of them. The shepherd helps facilitate the ability of the sheep to eat the food. The shepherd, the 7 shepherds, are those who help us internalize the reality which is really ours. Come along, Moshe Rabbeinu, he's one of those 7 shepherds. That's why it's 7, because it brings it internally. And therefore he shepherds us with Elokus. He shepherds us with the faith and reality of the reality of what the reality of the world of which is Elokus.